Richard.
Hello, Javier. Well, it's lovely to be in a Rolls-Royce Wraith with you.
Richard Carter from Rolls-Royce, the head of global communications. And we are in the newest and most fantastic Rolls-Royce, at least in its kind. It's very different from the traditional ones.
Absolutely.
But, can you talk? Let's talk about a little bit about the design and all this because it's pretty unique.
Javier, I think the thing that you will notice at once is that the interior of this cabin is unlike most motor cars. It's simple, first of all. So the beauty of the inside of a Rolls-Royce is that the technology is not immediately visible. It's very quietly popped away. There are very few buttons. The dials are very simple and clear. There's not a great deal of stuff in the car that detracts the driver.
Exactly.
The bottom line here is that we're trying to create a wonderfully effortless, beautiful, top-end environment for our customers.
So let's drive a little bit.
You've got a little gear shift here, which again, just pull it in and go down. Only reverse, neutral and drive. There are no extra gears available there. The car does everything for you and it does it effortlessly.
So Richard, tell us a little bit about the history about this car. Traditionally, Rolls-Royce, we know the style, the design, very imposing. I mean, you know a Rolls-Royce like half a mile down the road when it's coming. This one is completely different. How did they come up with this idea for this?
This car that we're in right now, Javier, is the most powerful Rolls-Royce ever built, and it's the fastest Rolls-Royce ever built. On top of that is a car which has an extraordinary design right here behind us. You've seen it from the outside, the fabulous fastback coupe design of this car, which is a real game changer for Rolls-Royce. I mean, what this does is it puts us in a league where this car it looks extremely powerful, and it is. It looks extremely agile, and it is. It's a Rolls-Royce like no other Rolls-Royce that has ever been built. It promises agility, speed, power, and it really delivers. It delivers it in a Rolls-Royce package. It delivers it in this wonderful, luxurious environment in which we are. It doesn't make a great noise and fuss and bother. It remains effortless and calm and always under control at all times while delivering this enormous amount of power.
And one thing that is pretty striking, it's, as you were saying, like very different, like the fast line on the back. And Rolls-Royce doesn't really have competitors, but like there's other brands that in the luxury segment that are coming up with new models. So was this an effort to go against those kind of cars like the Bentley Continental, for example?
No, Javier, absolutely not. We compete for the customer's dollar against the customer going out and buying a new helicopter or buying a yacht or buying a piece of fine art or something like that. We sell cars only in that very rarefied 200,000 euros, that sort of $300,000 plus category. There really are no other luxury manufacturers in that segment for us to compete with. There are many other manufacturers who make very fine motor cars, but a Rolls-Royce is something very special and different.
This is also an effort to attract like a younger
I think that's absolutely true, for sure. The sort of age demographic of Rolls-Royce drivers has been coming down quite dramatically over the last few years since the introduction of Ghost. You'll find that the age demographic has come down by a good 10 years. And this car, the Wraith, will of course attract many younger self-drivers. The young entrepreneurs who've made money early in their lives through their business activities and who are looking for the excitement of being in a Rolls-Royce, who perhaps felt that the Phantom or the Ghost, the big limousines, were not really what they wanted at this stage of their lives. And now here comes a car like Ghost, which is a self-driver's car, extremely powerful, fun to drive, and all wrapped up in this magnificent Rolls-Royce package. Everything that you touch and feel in this car has been handmade. So all the stitching, all the leather work, this incredible woodwork that you see in the car, it's all done by hand at our factory, the home of Rolls-Royce in the south of England. And there's a tremendous amount of substance in this car. And I think wealthy people today who are going out and spending a lot of money on a car are looking less for bling and much more for substance. They want to know that this car has fantastic materials. The leather in this car, for example, comes only from, well, there are only 2 farms in the world where we buy our leather from. One is in the foothills of the Alps in southern Bavaria, and then there is a ranch in Argentina where bulls are bred specifically for leather, not for meat. And we only use leather that comes from bulls. The obvious reason for that is that cows tend to get pregnant and they tend to stretch, and
then you see the stripes.
And the leather is perhaps of a slightly less, a slightly lower grade. So we only use the leather of bulls coming from these 2 farms in the world, and it's that sort of attention to detail, it's that striving for perfection at Rolls-Royce which really sets us apart.
And then the craftsmanship. I mean, because these cars are truly made by hand, right? I mean, the factory. I understand the chassis of the body is made in Dingolfing in Germany, and then they ship it to the factory in England, where it's really made by hand.
Everything that the customer sees, feels, touches, smells, hears in this car is handcrafted in our factory in southern England, as I say. And if you come to that factory one day, and I hope you do, you'll have this experience of seeing people crawling over this car, hand making it, hand finishing it. You will see people fettling wood. You'll see people handling leather, doing embroidery. These Rolls-Royce logos in the headrests, family crests, very beautiful inlays of wood that you find in Rolls-Royces. This is all done by hand by master craftsmen in West Sussex.
And then the engineering. I mean, the drive is like you're like flying. I mean, you don't feel anything. It's a fantastic feel of the power of the engine too.
Yes.
But also, I mean, like the smoothness of it. It's just like fantastic. I mean, it's really enjoyable to drive.
And you're really feeling that here. I mean, we're moving as if we're flying over the road. It's like a magic carpet ride in a way. We're moving in relative silence. You don't hear the 12-cylinder engine. I can tell you in this particular car, if you kicked it down, we've allowed for the first time in a Rolls-Royce a little bit of exhaust note to come into the cabin. Because I think if you look at a car like this that looks so obviously powerful and agile, it would seem odd if it was perfectly silent in here. But when you're just cruising, it is silent. When you want to give it a bit of gas, you will find that there's a very comforting growl that comes from the engine, but nothing too loud.
That as a driver you feel with all your senses, and that's one of them. Like you want to hear a little bit, just a little bit,
just to remind you that there's an enormous amount of power that you're commanding while you're driving this car.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for again, very unique opportunity. I'm really grateful that we are allowed to drive this beautiful car, and we're going to enjoy it a little bit more on the road outside here, the hotel in Arizona. So thank you for the opportunity, and congratulations, it's a beautiful car.
Thanks, Javier. It's a real pleasure, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.